The Mahabharata of Krishna-Dwaipayana Vyasa. Translated into English prose from the original Sanskrit text by Pratap Chandra Roy C.I.E. This free ebook has been downloaded from holybooks.com. Udyoga Parva. Section 72, Bhagavat Parva. Janamejaya said, when good Sanjaya, leaving the Pandava camp, went back to the Kurus, what did my grandsires, the sons of Pandu then do? O foremost of Brahmans, I desire to hear all this. Tell me this therefore. Vaisampayanaj said, after Sanjaya had gone, Yudhishthira the just addressed Krishna of the Dasatha race, that chief of all the Sattvatas, saying, O thou that art devoted to friends, the time hath come for friends to show their friendship. I do not see any other person besides thee that can save us in this season of distress. Relying on thee, O Madhava, we have fearlessly asked back our share from Duryodhana, who is filled with immeasurable pride, and from his counselors. O chastiser of foes, thou protectest the Vrishnis in all their calamities, do thou now protect the Pandavas also from a great danger, for they deserve thy protection. Divine Krishna said, here am I, O mighty armed one. Tell me what thou desirest to say, for I will, O Bharata, accomplish whatever thou wilt tell me. Yudhishthira said, thou hast heard what the intention is of Dhritarashtra and his own. All that Sanjaya, O Krishna, said unto me hath certainly the assent of Dhritarashtra. Sanjaya is Dhritarashtra's soul and spoke out his mind. An envoy speaketh according to his instructions, for if he speaketh otherwise he deserveth to be slain. Without looking equally on all that are his, moved by avarice and a sinful heart, Dhritarashtra seeketh to make peace with us without giving us back our kingdom. Indeed, at Dhritarashtra's command we spent 12 years in the woods and 1 additional year in concealment, well believing, O Lord, that Dhritarashtra would abide firmly by that pledge of ours. That we did not deviate from our promise is well known to the Brahmanas who were with us. The covetous king Dhritarashtra is now unwilling to observe Kshatriya virtues. Owing to affection for his son, he is listening to the counsels of wicked men. Abiding by counsels of Suyodhana, the king, O Janardana, actuated by avarice and seeking his own good, behaveth untruthfully towards us. What can be more sorrowful, O Janardana, than this, that I am unable to maintain my mother and my friends? Having the Kasis, the Panchalas, the Chedis, and the Matsyas for my allies, and with thee, O slayer of Madhu, for my protector, I prayed for only 5 villages, etc., Avishtala, Vrikastala, Makandi, Varanavata with any other, O Govinda as the 5th, grant us, we said, 5 villages or towns, O Sire, where we 5 may dwell in union, for we do not desire the destruction of the Bharatas. The wicked-minded son of Dhritarashtra, however, regarding the lordship of the world to be in him, doth not agree to even that. What can be more sorrowful than this? When a man born and brought up in a respectable family, coveteth the possessions of others, that avarice of his destroyeth his intelligence, and intelligence being destroyed, shame is lost, and loss of shame leadeth to diminution of virtue, and loss of virtue bringeth on loss of prosperity. Destruction of prosperity in its turn ruineth a person, for poverty is a person's death. Kinsmen and friends and Brahmanas shun a poor man as birds avoid, O Krishna, a tree that beareth neither flower nor fruits. Even this, O Sire, is death to me, that kinsmen shun me as if I were a fallen one, like the breath of life quitting a dead body. Samvara said that no condition of life could be more distressful than that in which one is always racked by the anxiety caused by the thought, I have no meal for today, what will become of me tomorrow? It is said that wealth is the highest virtue and everything depends on wealth. They that have wealth are said to live, whereas those that are without wealth are more dead than alive. They that by violence rob a man of his wealth not only kill the robbed but destroy also his virtue, profit, and pleasure. Some men when overtaken by poverty choose death, others remove from cities to hamlets, others retire into the wood, while others again, become religious mendicants to destroy their lives. Some for the sake of wealth are driven to madness, others for wealth, live under subjection to their foes, while many others again, for the sake of wealth, betake themselves to the servitude of others. A man's poverty is even more distressful to him than death, for wealth is the sole cause of virtue and pleasure. The natural death of a person is not much regarded, for that is the eternal path of all creatures. Indeed, none among created beings can transgress it. O Krishna, a man who is poor from birth is not so much distressed as one who, having once possessed great prosperity and having been brought up in luxury, is deprived of that prosperity. Having through his own fault fallen into distress, such a person blameth the very gods with Indra and his own self. Indeed, knowledge of even the entire scriptures faileth to mitigate his pains. Sometimes he getteth angry with his servants, and sometimes he cherisheth malice towards even his well-wishers. Subject to constant anger, he loseth his very senses, and his senses being clouded, he practiseth evil deeds. Through sinfulness such a person contributeth to a fusion of castes. A fusion of castes leadeth to hell and is the foremost of all sinful acts. If he is not awakened in time, he goeth certainly, O Krishna, to hell, and indeed, wisdom is the only thing that can awaken him, for if he obtaineth back the eye of wisdom he is saved. When wisdom is regained, such a man turneth his attention to scriptures, and attention to scriptures aideth his virtue. Then shame becometh his best ornament. He that hath shame hath an aversion against sin, and his prosperity also increaseth, and he that hath prosperity truly becometh a man. He that is ever devoted to virtue and hath his mind under control and always acteth after deliberation, never inclineth towards unrighteousness and never engageth in any act that is sinful. He that is without shame and sense is neither man nor woman. He is incapable of earning religious merit and is like a Sudra. He that hath shame gratifieth the gods, the P3s and even his own self, and by this he obtaineth emancipation, which indeed is the highest aim of all righteous persons. Thou hast, O slayer of Madhu, seen all this in me with thy own eyes. It is not unknown to thee how, deprived of kingdom, we have lived these years. We cannot lawfully abandon that prosperity, which had been ours. Our first efforts will be such that, O Madhava, both ourselves and the Kauravas, united in peace, will quietly enjoy our prosperity. Otherwise we shall, after slaying the worst of the Kauravas, regain those provinces, although success through bloodshed by destruction of even despicable foes that are related to us so dearly is the worst of all fierce deeds, O Krishna. We have numerous kinsmen, and numerous also are the revered seniors that have taken this or that other side. The slaughter of these would be highly sinful. What good therefore can there be in battle? Alas, such sinful practices are the duties of the Kshatriya order. Ourselves have taken our births in that wretched order. Whether those practices be sinful or virtuous, any other than the profession of arms would be censurable for us. A Sudra serveth, a Vaisya liveth by trade, the Brahmana have chosen the wooden bowl for begging, while we are to live by slaughter. A Kshatriya slayeth Kshatriya, fishes live on fish, a dog preyeth upon a dog. Behold, O thou of the Dasara race, how each of these followeth his peculiar virtue. O Krishna, Kali is ever present in battlefields, lives are lost all around. It is true, force regulated by policy is invoked, yet success and defeat are independent of the will of the combatants. The lives also of creatures are independent of their own wishes, and neither weal nor woe can be one's, when the time is not come for it, O best of Yadu's race. Sometimes one man killeth many, sometimes many, and united together, kill one. A coward may slay a hero and one unknown to fame may slay a hero of celebrity. Both parties cannot win success, nor both be defeated. The loss, however, on both sides may be equal. If one flieth away, loss of both life and fame is his. Under all circumstances, however, war is a sin. Who in striking another is not himself struck? As regard the person, however, who is struck, victory and defeat, O Hrishiksa, are the same. It is true that defeat is not much removed from death, but his loss also, O Krishna, is not less who winneth victory. He himself may not be killed, but his adversaries will kill at least someone that is dear to him, or some others, and thus the man, O sire, deprived of strength and not seeing before him his sons and brothers, becometh indifferent, O Krishna, to life itself. Those that are quiet, modest, virtuous, and compassionate are generally slain in battle, while they that are wicked escape. Even after slaying one's foes, repentance, O Janardana, possesseth the heart. He that surviveth among the foes giveth trouble, for the survivor, collecting a force, seeketh to destroy the surviving victor. In hopes of terminating the dispute, one often seeketh to exterminate the foe. Thus victory createth animosity, and he that is defeated liveth in sorrow. He that is peaceful sleepeth in happiness, giving up all thoughts of victory and defeat, whereas he that hath provoked hostility always sleepeth in misery with indeed an anxious heart, as if sleeping with a snake in the same room. He that exterminates seldom winneth fame. On the other hand, such a person reapeth eternal infamy in the estimation of all. Hostilities, waged ever so long, cease not, for if there is even one alive in the enemy's family, narrators are never wanted to remind him of the past. Enmity, O Kesava, is never neutralized by enmity, on the other hand it is fomented by enmity like fire fed by clarified butter. Therefore there can be no peace without the annihilation of one party, for flaws may always be detected of which advantage may be taken by one side or other. They that are engaged in watching for flaws have this vice. Confidence in one's own prowess troubleth the core of one's heart like an incurable disease. Without either renouncing that at once or death, there can be no peace. It is true, O slayer of Madhu, that exterminating the foe by the very roots may lead to good results in the shape of great prosperity, yet such an act is most cruel. The peace that may be brought about by our renouncing the kingdom is hardly different from death, which is implied by the loss of kingdom, in consequence of the designs of the enemy and the utter ruin of ourselves. We do not wish to give up the kingdom, nor do we wish to see the extinction of our race. Under these circumstances, therefore, the peace that is obtained through even humiliation is the best. When these that strive for peace by all means, without of course wishing for war, find conciliation to fail, war becomes inevitable, and then is the time for the display of prowess. Indeed, when conciliation fails, frightful results follow. The learned have noticed all this in a canine contest. First there comes the wagging of tails, then the bark in reply, then the circumambulation, then the showing of teeth, then repeated roars, and then at last the fight. In such a contest, O Krishna, the dog that is stronger, vanquishing his antagonist, taketh the latter's meat. The same is exactly the case with men. There is no difference whatever. They that are powerful should be indifferent to avoid disputes with the weak who always bow down. The father, the king, and he that is venerable in years, always deserve regard. Dhritarashtra, therefore, O Janardana, is worthy of our respect and worship. But O Madhava, Dhritarashtra's affection for his son is great. Obedient to his son, he will reject our submission. What dost thou, O Krishna, think best at this juncture? How may we, O Madhava, preserve both our interest and virtue? Whom also besides thee, O slayer of Madhu and foremost of men, shall we consult in this difficult affair? What other friend have we, O Krishna, who like thee is so dear to us, who seeketh our welfare so, who is so conversant with the course of all actions, and who is so well acquainted with truth? Vaisampayana continued, thus addressed, Janardana replied unto Yudhishthira the just, saying, I will go to the court of the Kurus for the sake of both of you. If without sacrificing your interests I can obtain peace, O king, an act of great religious merit will be mine, productive of great fruits. I shall then also save from the meshes of death the Kurus and the Srinjayas inflamed with wrath, the Pandavas and the Dhartashtra's, and, in fact, this entire earth. Yudhishthira said, It is not my wish, O Krishna, that thou wilt go to the Kurus, for Suyodhana will never act according to thy words, even if thou advisest him well. All the Kshatriyas of the world, obedient to Duryodhana's command, are assembled there. I do not like that thou, O Krishna, shouldst proceed into their midst. If any mischief be done to thee, O Madhava, let alone happiness, nothing, not even divinity nor even the sovereignty over all the gods will delight us. The Holy One said, I know, O monarch, the sinfulness of Dhritarashtra's son, but by going there we will escape the blame of all the kings of the earth. Like other animals before the lion, all the kings of the earth united together are not competent to stand still before me in battle when I am enraged. If after all, they do me any injury, then I will consume all the Kurus. Even this is my intention. My going thither, O Partha, will not be fruitless, for if our object be not fulfilled, we shall at least escape all blame. Yudhishthira said, Do, O Krishna, as it pleaseth thee. Blessed be thou, go then to the Kurus. I hope to behold thee return successful and prosperous. Going unto the Kurus, make thou, O Lord, such a peace that all the sons of Bharata may live together with cheerful hearts and contentedly. Thou art our brother and friend, dear to me as much as to Vibhatsu. Such hath been our intimacy with thee that we apprehend no neglect of our interest from thee. Go thou there, for our good. Thou knowest us, thou knowest our antagonists, thou knowest what our purposes are, and thou knowest also what to say. Thou wilt, O Krishna, say unto Suyodhana such words as are for our benefit. Whether peace is to be established by apparent sin or by any other means, O Kesava, speak such words as may prove beneficial to us. Thus ends the 72nd section in the Bhagavatyana Parva of the Udyoga Parva. Section 73, Bhagavatyana Parva. The Holy One said, I have heard Sanjaya's words and now I have heard thine. I now know all about his purposes as also of thyself. Thy heart inclineth to righteousness, whereas their inclination is towards enmity. That which is obtained without war is of great value to thee. A lifelong brahmacharya is not, O Lord of earth, the duty of a kshatriya. Indeed, men of all the four orders have said that a kshatriya should never subsist on alms. Victory or death in battle hath been eternally ordained by the Creator, even that is the duty of a kshatriya. Cowardice is not applauded in a kshatriya. Subsistence, O Yudhishthira, is not possible by cowardice, O thou of mighty arms. Display thy prowess and vanquish, O chastiser of foes, thy enemies. The covetous son of Dhritarashtra, O chastiser of foes, living for a long time with many kings, has by affection and friendship become very powerful. Therefore, O king, there is no hope of his making peace with thee. They regard themselves strong, having Bhishma and Drona and Kripa and others with them. As long, O king, as thou, O grinder of foes, wilt behave with them mildly, they will withhold thy kingdom. Neither from compassion nor from mildness, nor from a sense of righteousness, will the sons of Dhritarashtra, O chastiser of foes, fulfill thy wishes. This, O son of Pandu, is another proof that they will not make peace with thee. Having pained thee so deeply by making thee port on a Kaupina, they were not stung with remorse. In the very sight of the grandsire Bhishma and Drona and the wise Vidura, of many holy Brahmanas, the king, the citizens, and all the chief Kauravas, the cruel Duryodhana, deceitfully defeating thee at dice. Thee that are charitable, gentle, self-restrained, virtuous, and of rigid voice was not, O king, ashamed of his vile act. Do not, O monarch, show any compassion for that wretch of such disposition. They deserve death at the hands of all, how much more than of thee? O Bharata, with what improper speeches did Duryodhana with his brothers, filled with gladness and indulging in many a boast, afflict thee with thy brothers? He said, the Pandavas now have nothing of their own in this wide earth. Their very names and lineage are extinct. In time, which is never ending, defeat will be theirs. All their virtues having merged in me, they will now be reduced to the 5 elements. While the match at dice was in progress, the wretched Dusasana of most wicked soul, seizing that weeping lady by the hair, dragged Princess Draupadi, as if she had no protectors, to the assembly of kings, and in the presence of Bhishma and Drona and others, repeatedly called her cow. Restrained by thee, thy brothers of terrible prowess, bound also by the bonds of virtue, did nothing to avenge it. And after thou hadst been exiled to the woods, Duryodhana, having uttered such and other cruel words, boasted amid his kinsmen. Knowing thee innocent, they that were assembled sat silent in the assembly house, weeping with choked voice. The assembled kings with the Brahmanas did not applaud him for this. Indeed, all the courtiers present there censured him. To a man of noble descent, O grinder of foes, even censure is death. Death is even many times better than a life of blame. Even then, O king, he died, when upon being censured by all the kings of the earth, he felt no shame. He whose character is so abominable may easily be destroyed, even like a rootless tree standing erect on a single weak root. The sinful and evil-minded Duryodhana deserved death at the hands of every one, even like a serpent. Slay him therefore, O killer of foes, and hesitate not in the least. It behoveth thee, O sinless one, and I like it too, that thou shouldst pay homage unto thy father Dhritarashtra and also unto Bhishma. Going thither, I will remove the doubts of all men who are still undecided as to the wickedness of Duryodhana. Thither, in the presence of all kings, I will enumerate all those virtues of thine that are not to be met in all men, as also all the vices of Duryodhana. And hearing me speak beneficial words, pregnant with virtue and profit, the rulers of various realms will regard thee as possessed of a virtuous soul, and as a speaker of truth, while at the same time they will understand how Duryodhana is actuated by avarice. I will also tell the vice of Duryodhana before both the citizens and the inhabitants of the country, before both the young and the old, of all the 4 orders that will be collected there. And as thou askest for peace, no one will charge thee sinful, while all the chiefs of the earth will censure the Kurus and Dhritarashtra. And when Duryodhana will be dead in consequence of his being forsaken by all men, there will be nothing left to do. Do then what should now be done. Going unto the Kurus, I shall strive to make peace without sacrificing thy interests and marking their inclination for war and all their proceedings. I will soon come back, O Bharata, for thy victory. I think war with the enemy to be certain. All the omens that are noticeable by me point to that. Birds and animals set up frightful screeches and howls at the approach of dusk. The foremost of elephants and steeds assume horrible shapes, the very fire exhibiteth divers kinds of terrible hues. In this world never has it been the case, but for the fact of the world destroying havoc's self coming into our midst. Making ready their weapons, machines, coats of mail and cars, elephants and steeds, let all thy warriors be prepared for battle, and let them take care of their elephants and horses and cars. And O king, collect everything that thou needest for the impending war. As long as he liveth, Duryodhana will by no means be able to give back unto thee, O king, that kingdom of thine, which abounding in prosperity, have before been taken by him at dice. Thus ends the 73rd section in the Bhagavatyana Parva of the Udyoga Parva. Section 74, Bhagavatyana Parva. Bhima said, Speak thou, O slayer of Madhu, in such a strain that there may be peace with the Kurus. Do not threaten them with war. Resenting everything, his wrath always excited, hostile to his own good and arrogant, Duryodhana should not be roughly addressed. Do thou behave towards him with mildness. Duryodhana is by nature sinful of heart like that of a robber, intoxicated with the pride of prosperity, hostile to the Pandavas, without foresight, cruel in speech, always disposed to censure others, of wicked prowess, of wrath not easily to be appeased, not susceptible of being taught, of wicked soul, deceitful in behavior, capable of giving up his very life rather than break or give up his own opinion. Peace with such a one, O Krishna, is I suppose most difficult. Regardless of the words of even his well-wishers, destitute of virtue, loving falsehood, he always acts against the words of his counselors and wounds their hearts. Like a serpent hid within reeds, he naturally commits sinful acts, depending on his own wicked disposition, and obedient to the impulse of wrath. What army Duryodhana hath, what his conduct is, what his nature, what his might, and what his prowess are all well known to thee. Before this, the Kauravas with their sons passed their days in cheerfulness, and we also with our friends rejoiced like the younger brothers of Indra, with Indra himself. Alas, by Duryodhana's wrath, O slayer of Madhu, the Bharatas will all be consumed, even like forests by fire at the end of the dewy seasons. And O slayer of Madhu, well known are those 18 kings that annihilated their kinsmen, friends, and relatives. Even as when Dharma became extinct, Kali was born in the race of Asuras flourishing with prosperity and blazing with energy, so was born Udavata among the Hehayas, Janamejaya among the Nipas, Vahula among the Thalajanghas, proud Vasu among the Krimis, Ajavindu among the Suviras, Rushardik among the Surashtras, Urkaja among the Valihas, Dotamulaka among the Chinas, Hayagriva among the Vaidhas, Varayu among the Mahojasas, Vahu among the Sundaras, Pururavas among the Diptakshas, Sahaja among the Chedis and the Matsyas, Vrishadaja among the Praviras, Dharana among the Chandrabatsyas, Bikahana among the Mukutas, and Sama among the Nandaivgas. These vile individuals, O Krishna, spring up at the end of each yuga in their respective races, for the destruction of their kinsmen. So hath Duryodhana, the very embodiment of sin and the disgrace of his race, been born at the end of the yuga, amongst us the Kurus. Therefore, O thou of fierce prowess, thou shouldst address him slowly and mildly, not in bitter but sweet words fraught with virtue and profit, and discourse fully on the subject so as to attract his heart. All of us, O Krishna, would rather in humiliation follow Duryodhana submissively, but O let not the Bharatas be annihilated. O Vasudeva, act in such a way that we may rather live as strangers to the Kurus than incurring the sin of bringing about the destruction of the whole race should touch them. O Krishna, let the aged grandsire and the other counselors of the Kurus be asked to bring about brotherly feelings between brothers and to pacify the son of Dhritarashtra. Even this is what I say. King Yudhishthira also approveth of this, and Arjuna too is averse to war, for there is great compassion in him. Thus ends the 74th section in the Bhagavatyana Parva of the Udyoga Parva. Section 75, Bhagavatyana Parva. Vaisampayana said, hearing these words from Bhima, that were fraught with such mildness and that were as unexpected as if the hills had lost their weight and fire had become cold, Rama's younger brother Kesava of Sura's race and mighty arms, wielding the bow called Saranga, laughed aloud, and as if to stimulate Bhima by his words, like the breeze fanning a fire, addressed him who was then so overwhelmed by the impulse of kindness, saying, "At other times, O Bhimasena, thou applaudest war only, desirous of crushing the wicked sons of Dhritarashtra that taketh delight in the destruction of others. O chastiser of foes, thou dost not sleep but wakest the whole night, sitting up face downwards. Thou often utterest frightful exclamation of wrath, indicative of the storm within thy heart. Inflamed with the fire of thy own fury thou sighest, O Bhima, with an unquiet heart, like a flame of fire mixed with smoke. Withdrawing from company thou liest down breathing hot sighs, like a weak man pressed down by a heavy load. They who do not know the cause regard thee as insane. As an elephant breaking into fragments uprooted trees lying on the ground grunteth in rage while trampling them under his feet, so thou also, O Bhima, runnest on, breathing deep sighs and shaking the earth under thy tread. Here in the region thou takest no delight in company, but passest thy time in privacy. Night or day, nothing pleases thee so much as seclusion. Sitting apart thou sometimes laughest aloud all on a sudden, and sometimes placing thy head between thy two knees, thou continuest in that posture for a long time with closed eyes. At the other times, O Bhima, contracting thy brows frequently and biting thy lips, thou starest fiercely before thee. All this is indicative of wrath. At one time, thou hadst, in the midst of thy brothers, grasped the mace uttering this oath, as the sun is seen rising in the east displaying his radiance, and as he truly setteth in the west, journeying around the Meru, so do I swear that I will certainly slay insolent Duryodhana with this mace of mine, and this oath of mine will never be untrue. How then doth that same heart of thine, O chastiser of foes, now follow the counsels of peace? Alas, when fear entereth thy heart, O Bhima, it is certain that the hearts of all who desire war are upset when war becometh actually imminent. Asleep or awake thou beholdest, O son of Pritha, inauspicious omens. Perhaps it is this for which thou desirest peace. Alas, like a eunuch, thou dost not display any sign indicative of manliness in thee. Thou art overwhelmed by panic, and it is for this that thy heart is upset. Thy heart trembleth, thy mind is overwhelmed by despair, thy thighs trembleth, and it is for this that thou desirest peace. The hearts of mortals, O Partha, are surely as inconstant as the pods of the salmali seed exposed to the force of the wind. This frame of thy mind is as strange as articulate speech in kin. Indeed, the hearts of thy brothers are about to sink in an ocean of despair, like swimmers in the sea without a raft to rescue them. That thou, O Bhimasena, shouldst utter words so unexpected of thee is as strange as the shifting of a hill. Recollecting thy own deeds and the race also in which thou art born, arise, O Bharata, yield not to grief, O hero, and be firm. Such languor, O repressor of foes, is not worthy of thee, for a Kshatriya never enjoyeth that which he doth not acquire through prowess. Thus ends the 75th section in the Bhagavat-yana Parva of the Udyoga Parva. Section 76, Bhagavat-yana Parva. Vaisampayana said, thus addressed by Vasudeva, the ever wrathful Bhima, incapable of bearing insults, was immediately awakened like a steed of high mettle and replied without losing a moment, saying, O Achyuta, I wish to act in a particular way, thou however takest me in quite a different light. That I take great delight in war and that my prowess is incapable of being baffled must, O Krishna, be well known to thee in consequence of our having lived together for a long time. Or it may be thou knowest me not, like one swimming in a lake ignorant of its depth. It is for this that thou chidest me in such unbecoming words. Who else, O Madhava, knowing me to be Bhimasena, could address me with such unbecoming words as thou dost? Therefore I shall tell thee, O delighter of the Vrishnis, about my own prowess and unrivaled might. Although to speak of one's own prowess is always an ignoble act, yet, pierced as I am by thy unfriendly strictures, I will speak of my own might. Behold, O Krishna, these the firmament and the earth which are immovable, immense and infinite, and which are the refuge of and in which are born these countless creatures. If through anger these suddenly collide like two hills, just I with my arms can keep them asunder with all their mobile and immobile objects. Behold the joints of these my maze-like arms. I find not the person who can extricate himself having once come within their grasp. The Himavat, the ocean, the mighty wielder of the thunderbolt himself, Vis the slayer of Vala, even these three cannot with all their power, extricate the person attacked by me. I will easily trample on the ground under my feet all the Kshatriyas who will come to battle against the Pandavas. It is not unknown to thee, Achyuta, with what prowess I vanquished the kings of the earth and brought them under subjection. If indeed thou really knowest not my prowess, which is like the fierce energy of the midday sun, thou wilt then know it, O Janardana, in the fierce melee of battle. Thou woundest me with thy cruel words, paining me with the pain of opening a fetid tumor. But know me to be mightier than what I have said of myself of my own accord. On that day, when the fierce and destructive havoc of battle will begin, thou wilt then see me felling elephants and car warriors, combatants on steeds and those on elephants, and slaying in rage the foremost of Kshatriya warriors. Thou as well as others wilt see me doing all this and grinding down the foremost of combatants. The marrow of my bones hath not yet decayed, nor doth my heart tremble. If the whole world rusheth against me in wrath, I do not yet feel the influence of fear. It is only for the sake of compassion, O slayer of Madhu, that I am for displaying goodwill to the foe. I am for quietly bearing all our injuries, lest the Bharata race be extirpated. Thus ends the 76th section in the Bhagavatyana Parva of the Udyoga Parva. Section 77, Bhagavatyana Parva. The Holy One said, It was only through affection that I said all this, desiring to know thy mind, and not from the desire of reproaching thee, nor from pride of learning, nor from wrath, nor from desire of making a speech. I know thy magnanimity of soul, and also thy strength and thy deeds. It is not for that reason that I reproached thee. O son of Pandu, 1,000 times greater will be the benefit conferred by thee on the Pandavas' cause than that which thou thinkest thyself to be capable of conferring on it. Thou, O Bhima, with thy kinsmen and friends art exactly that which one should be that has taken his birth in a family like thine, that is regarded by all the kings of the earth. The fact, however, is that they can never arrive at the truth who, under the influence of doubt, proceed to inquire about the consequences hereafter of virtue and vice, or about the strength and weakness of men. For it is seen that what is the cause of the success of a person's object becometh also the cause of his ruin. Human acts therefore are doubtful in their consequences. Learned men capable of judging of the evils of actions pronounce a particular course of action as worthy of being followed. It produces, however, consequences the very opposite of what were foreseen, very much like the course of the wind. Indeed, even those acts of men that are the results of deliberation and well-directed policy, and that are consistent with considerations of propriety, are baffled by the dispensations of providence. Then again, providential dispensations, such as heat and cold and rain, and hunger and thirst, that are not the consequences of human acts, may be baffled by human exertion. Then again, besides those acts which a person is preordained, as the result of the acts of past lives, to go through, one can always get rid of all other acts begun at his pleasure, as is testified by both the Smritis and the Shrutis. Therefore, O son of Pandu, one cannot go on the world without acting. One should hence engage in work knowing that one's purpose would be achieved by a combination of both destiny and exertion. He that engageth in acts under this belief is never pained by failure, nor delighted by success. This, O Bhimasena, was the intended import of my speech. It was not intended by me that victory would be certain in an encounter with the foe. A person, when his mind is upset, should not lose his cheerfulness and must yield neither to languor nor depression. It is for this that I spoke to thee in the way I did. When the morrow comes, I will go, O Pandava, to Dhritarashtra's presence. I will strive to make peace without sacrificing your interests. If the Kauravas make peace, then boundless fame will be mine. Your purposes will be achieved and they also will reap great benefit. If however the Kauravas, without listening to my words, resolve to maintain their opinion, then there will undoubtedly be a formidable war. In this war burden resteth on thee, O Bhimasena. That burden should also be borne by Arjuna, while other warriors should all be led by both of you. In case of war happening, I will certainly be the driver of Vibhatsu's car, for that indeed is Dhananjaya's wish, and not that I myself am not desirous of fighting. It is for this that, hearing thee utter thy intention, I rekindled thy energy, O Vrikodara. Thus ends the 77th section in the Bhagavatyana Parva of the Udyoga Parva. Section 78, Bhagavatyana Parva. Arjuna said, O Janardana, Yudhishthira hath already said what should be said. But O chastiser of foes, hearing what thou hast said, it seemeth to me that thou, O Lord, dost not think peace to be easily obtainable either in consequence of Dhritarashtra's covetousness or from our present weakness. Thou thinkest also that human prowess alone is fruitless, and also that without putting forth one's prowess one's purposes cannot be achieved. What thou hast said may be true, but at the same time it may not always be true. Nothing however should be regarded as impracticable. It is true, peace seemeth to thee to be impossible in consequence of our distressful condition, yet they are still acting against us without reaping the fruits of their acts. Peace therefore, if properly proposed, O Lord, may be concluded. O Krishna, strive thou therefore to bring about peace with the foe. Thou, O hero, art the foremost of all friends of both the Pandavas and the Kurus, even as Prajapati is of both the gods and the Asuras. Accomplish thou therefore that which is for the good of both the Kurus and the Pandavas. The accomplishment of our good is not, I believe, difficult for thee. If thou strivest, O Janardana, such is this act that it will be soon effected. As soon as thou goest thither, it will be accomplished. If, O hero, thou purposest to treat the evil-minded Duryodhana in any other way, that purpose of thine will be carried out exactly as thou wishest. Whether it be peace or war with the foe that thou wishest, any wish, O Krishna, that thou mayst entertain, will certainly be honored by us. Doth not the evil-minded Duryodhana with his sons and kinsmen deserve destruction when, unable to bear the sight of Yudhishthira's prosperity and finding no other faultless expedient, that wretch, O slayer of Madhu, deprived us of our kingdom by the sinful expedient of deceitful dice? What bowman is there who, born in the Kshatriya order and invited to combat, turneth away from the fight even if he is sure to die? Beholding ourselves vanquished by sinful means and banished to the woods, even then thou of the Vrishni race, I thought that Suyodhana deserved death at my hands. What thou however, O Krishna, wishest to do for thy friends is scarcely strange, although it seems inexplicable how the object in view is capable of being effected by either mildness or its reverse. Or, if thou deemest their immediate destruction to be preferable, let it be effected soon without further deliberation. Surely thou knowest how Draupadi was insulted in the midst of the assembly by Duryodhana of sinful soul, and how also we bore it with patience. That Duryodhana, O Madhava, will behave with justice towards the Pandavas is what I cannot believe. Wise counsels will be lost on him like seeds sown in a barren soil. Therefore do without delay what thou, O thou of Vrishni race, thinkest to be proper and beneficial for the Pandavas, or what, indeed, should next be done. Thus ends the 78th section in the Bhagavatyana Parva of the Udyoga Parva. Section 79, Bhagavatyana Parva. The Holy One said, It shall be, O thou of mighty arms, what thou O Pandavas, sayest. I will strive to bring about that which would be beneficial to both the Pandavas and the Kurus. Between the two kinds of acts, war and peace, the latter O Vibhatsu, is perhaps within my power. Behold, the soil is moistened and divested of weeds by human exertion. Without rain, however, O son of Kunti, it never yieldeth crops. Indeed, in the absence of rain, some speak of artificial irrigation, as some means of success due to human exertion, but even then it may be seen that the water artificially let in is dried up in consequence of providential drought. Beholding all this, the wise men of old have said that human affairs are set a-going in consequence of the cooperation of both providential and human expedients. I will do all that can be done by human exertion at its best. But I shall by no means be able to control what is providential. The wicked soul Duryodhana acteth, defying both virtue and the world. Nor doth he feel any regret in consequence of his acting in that way. Moreover, his sinful inclinations are fed by his counselors Sakuni and Karna and his brother Dusasana. Suyodhana will never make peace by giving up the kingdom, without, O Partha, undergoing at our hands a wholesale destruction with his kinsmen. King Yudhishthira the just doth not wish to give up the kingdom submissively. The wicked-minded Duryodhana also will not at our solicitation surrender the kingdom. I therefore think that it is scarcely proper to deliver Yudhishthira's message to him. The sinful Duryodhana of Kuru's race will not, O Bharata, accomplish the objects spoken of by Yudhishthira. If he refuse compliance, he will deserve death at the hands of all. Indeed, he deserves death at my hands, as also, O Bharata, of everyone, since in your childhood he always persecuted you all, and since that wicked and sinful wretch robbed you of your kingdom and could not bear the sight of Yudhishthira's prosperity. Many a time, O Partha, he strove to withdraw me from thee, but I never reckoned those wicked attempts of his. Thou knowest, O thou of mighty arms, what the cherished intentions of Duryodhana are, and thou knowest also that I seek the welfare of King Yudhishthira the just. Knowing therefore Duryodhana's heart and what my most cherished wishes are, why then dost thou, O Arjuna, entertain such apprehensions in respect of myself like one unacquainted with everything? That grave act also which was ordained in heaven is known to thee. How then, O Partha, can peace be concluded with the foe? What, however, O Pandavas, is capable of being done by either speech or act, will all be done by me. Do not, however, O Partha, expect peace to be possible with the foe. About a year ago, on the occasion of attacking Virata's kin, did not Bhishma, on their way back, solicit Duryodhana about this very peace so beneficial to all? Believe me, they have been defeated even then when their defeat was resolved by thee. Indeed, Suyodhana doth not consent to part with the smallest portion of the kingdom for even the shortest period of time. As regards myself, I am ever obedient to the commands of Yudhishthira, and therefore the sinful acts of that wicked wretch must have again to be revolved in my mind. Thus ends the 79th section in the Bhagavatyana Parva of the Udyoga Parva. Section 80, Bhagavatyana Parva. Nakula said, Much hath been said, O Madhava, by King Yudhishthira the just, who is conversant with morality and endued with liberality, and thou hast heard what hath been said by Falguni also. As regards my own opinion, O hero, thou hast repeatedly expressed it. Hearing first what the wishes of the enemy are and disregarding all, do what thou regardest to be proper for the occasion. O Kesava, diverse are the conclusions arrived at as regards diverse matters. Success, however, O chastiser of foes, is one when a man doth that which ought to be done in view of the occasion. When a thing is settled in one way on one occasion, it becometh unsuitable when the occasion becometh different. Persons therefore in this world, O foremost of men, cannot stick to the same opinion throughout. While we were living in the woods, our hearts were inclined towards a particular course of action. While we were passing the period of concealment, our wishes were of one kind, and now at the present time, O Krishna, when concealment is no longer necessary, our wishes have become different. O thou of the Vrishni race, while we wandered in the woods, attachment for the kingdom was not so great as now. The period of our exile having ceased, hearing, O hero, that we have returned, an army numbering full 7 Akshahinis hath, through thy grace, O Janardana, been assembled. Beholding these tigers among men, of inconceivable might and prowess, standing equipped for battle armed with weapons, what man is there that will not be struck with fear? Therefore, going into the midst of the Kurus, speak thou first words fraught with mildness and then those fraught with threats, so that the wicked Suyodhana may be agitated with fear. What mortal man is there of flesh and blood, who would encounter in battle Yudhishthira and Bhimasena, the invincible Vibhatsu and Sahadeva, myself, thyself and Rama, O Kesava, and Satyaki of mighty energy? Virata with his sons, Drupada with his allies, and Drishtadhyumna, O Madhava, and the ruler of Kasi of great prowess, and Drishtaketu, the lord of the Chedis. No sooner wilt thou go there than thou wilt, without doubt, accomplish, O thou of mighty arms, the desired object of King Yudhishthira the just. Vidura and Bhishma and Drona and Valika, these talents, O sinless one, will understand thee when thou wouldst utter words of wisdom. They will solicit that ruler of men, Dhritarashtra, and Suyodhana of sinful disposition with his counsellors to act according to the advice. When thou, O Janardana, art the speaker and Vidura the listener, what subject is there that cannot be rendered smooth and plain? Thus ends the 88th section in the Bhagavatyana Parva of the Udyoga Parva. If you enjoyed this audiobook, please like and subscribe to be notified of when new audiobooks are uploaded. Thank you for listening and learning. Shanti.